Most businesses fail at the top. There's systems, there's people, there's processes, there's sales, there's marketing, there's branding, there's automation and AI, and all of those things that go into a business. But most businesses fail at the leadership level. And the reason why I fell at the leadership level is because people are not taught how to be leaders. And so you're in this position where you're looking at this business that's in front of you. You're trying to be an effective leader, a manager, someone who knows how to step up and get things done. But the reality is the business will never outgrow the leader. If leadership is the constraint, nothing downstream gets fixed until you do. And what that means is it starts with you. Like successful business starts with the person at the helm. This is something I share with my team all of the time. And we're looking at this and like, wait a second, I'm trying to do the right things the right way. But what if you're the bottleneck? You're leading, but you don't have enough consistency. You don't have enough speed and you don't have enough clarity. And we get upset at our teams because we're like, wait a second, I told this person what to do and you're speaking English to them. They're hearing Mandarin and you're like, what is the disconnect here? And sometimes vice versa. But this starts showing up because of a few reasons. One, you might be sending mixed signals to your team. If you think about it, how often does your team actually truly understand the objective in front of you? Most leaders do not understand that having meetings is not productive. What is productive is having sessions where you're talking about goals, metrics, KPIs, problem solving, and execution and expectations. We sit and we talk too much. One of the things you have to look at is how many meetings are you having right now? And are these meetings that you're having sending mixed signals? Or if you're not meeting, why aren't you meeting? Where is the disconnect between the vision that you have for your team and the business and the disconnect of what's actually happening? It also could be that you're avoiding conversations. It is crazy to me how often I run across business owners, leaders, and entrepreneurs who are conflict avoidant. You are in trouble if you are avoiding conflict. Because guess what? 99% of business is conflict. We're constantly trying to find ways to solve problems. We're constantly trying to find ways to take the things that aren't working and make them work. And if you are avoidant of conflict, you are screwed. And here's why. Because the way that you shape culture, business, and your impression on your team is exactly by the way that you show up when things are difficult. And so sometimes as leaders, we think to ourselves, I don't want to be the conflict in the business. Even though I see Tommy on the team is doing things wrong, I'm not going to address it. And then next thing you happen, like any relationship, on a long enough timeline, that leads to contempt and resentment. And when that happens, now you have bigger problems in the company. So maybe it's conflict avoidance that you have difficulty with and avoiding hard conversations. And sometimes it's delaying decisions. One of the things that I learned very early is that when we are delegating, when we are giving our team assignments, the number one thing that we can do is get them on board immediately. How quickly we move will determine our level of success. You've probably heard this many times, but success loves speed. And one of the things that we get caught up in is the planning phase. And as leaders, we cannot be stuck in planning all day. You just can't, because now you're in this place where if you're stuck in planning, it's not that we don't plan. Of course, we plan. There are things to do. We have to execute. We need a roadmap and a game plan. But if you don't plan, the thing that's going to happen is that you're going to be stuck planning when things go bad. And now instead of working on the business, you're working in the business, cleaning up messes all day long. Slow decision making will slow down the business across all verticals in it. Your sales, your marketing, your lead gen, your customer acquisition. It'll slow down your hiring, your firing, slow down everything around you. And the reality is that you don't want that. You don't want to be this leader who also ends up becoming reliant for the execution in the business because you don't know how to delegate. And so I think a big thing that people get lost in, they're like, I'm not sure what to tell my team what to do. If I can give you any piece of advice ever, the question you should be asking every single day is, what do I need to be doing with the next 15 minutes of my time? If you can answer that question, that downstream effect impacts the team because they are going to be executing against your vision. And if you don't have the ability to see that vision through and give clear and concise information to your team to go and execute at a high level, you're in really bad trouble. Like, you just are. There's no way around it because your team is coming to you for answers. The other thing that I'll add, and I think that this is actually really important, is what is your level of confidence coming in day to day? You have to understand that you have to believe at the highest level that the task in front of you as a team and as an organization can be accomplished. And beyond that, you have to believe in your heart and your soul that the people around you are the ones who can get it done. Now, here's what happens sometimes also, because we happen to be the bottlenecks in the business. The thing that can happen is we're like, I will do it on my own. Obviously, they can't figure it out. Whenever I've hit this place in my career where I have that thought, I take a step back and I ask myself, where did I fail? As a leader, where did I fail? Because chances are, if there's somebody on my team who's not executing at the highest level, it's because I made a mistake somewhere. Because I didn't cross a T and dot an I. I didn't give clear and concise information. I did not continue to build rapport and trust. I did not inspire the team. I did not make decisions quickly. I did not train. I did not educate. I did not follow up. And so one of the things I'm always thinking about is, well, how do you solve these problems? Because if you do not, and you leave your lack of leadership ability unaddressed, it's going to turn into a nightmare for you, because leadership inconsistency over time compounds. I've seen it too many times. I've also been victim of that, especially early on in business. When I was building my first company, 17 years ago, I didn't understand delegation. I didn't understand imploring my team to go and execute at a high level. I didn't understand giving a team member a task, telling them to accomplish the task, and then come back to me so we could review the task. I wasn't necessarily a micromanager, but I was just too hands-on in everything. I didn't understand speed of decision making. I constantly felt like if you don't think every single step of every single day through, that you're going to fail. And the reality is you're going to fail a lot anyway, because that's the nature of business. But you want to fail fast. Like, you want to make decisions so quickly that the people around you on your team are like, this person's out of their mind. They want us to do that in that much time. Yes, that is exactly what we want to do. We want to put our team in a position where they are required to stretch themselves. One of the things that I do, because we built the business on the back of this foundation that requires check-ins every single Monday. And when we have this team check-in with the whole organization, I'm always asking them, how do you need to stretch yourself this week? How do you pull yourself this week? What do you have to do? Because I'm trying to push myself too. And as the leader, we are pushing ourselves way more than our team. And I've said it before, your team is never going to ever want this as badly as you do. You can maybe get them to 74%. But you're never going to get them on the same page. So you want to encourage them. You want to push them. People need a challenge, right? You don't want to be a dictator. You certainly don't want to be a jerk, but you also have to be in a place where if you're not pushing your team forward, you will also fail, right? We're paying our people to go and execute at a high level. So what happens if you don't do that? Well, over time, you're going to see this depletion of everything around you. Your team isn't going to trust you. Things are going to slow down. They're going to break down. The business is going to become even more dependent on you. And think about this. When you have stress everywhere in the business, how do you think that impacts your life? Your personal life, your friendships, your relationships, the relationships with your team members, and you're sitting here always freaking out, and your team is looking for you to be the one stable element of the business. And I'll tell you this, business could be the best it's ever been, and I'm going to celebrate that all day long. My team is going to know. And if business is the worst it's ever been, they will have no idea, because that's my responsibility as a leader, to keep morale high at all times. And I had a mentor once tell me the only emotion that belongs in business is celebration. So you have to think too, your team, they're not your scapegoat. They're not your, God, please don't gaslight your team for the love of God. Don't do that because you're going to ruin them. You want to be clear and concise and honest with them. You want to keep them relative to understanding what's happening in the business, but they don't need to know everything. They need to understand their role. They need to understand the game plan, and they need to understand what they're doing right and what they're doing wrong. And so now's the place where you want to go and create this 30-day roadmap. This is one of the most important things that you can do, because at the reality of everything that's in front of you, there's really kind of three things that you need to start with immediately. And if I were you, I would do these three things. I would not contemplate doing anything else. And as someone who's been in leadership for 22 years, I understand this better than most people. I was in leadership at 18 years old. I was running a Wendy's in central Indianapolis, the number one revenue generating Wendy's in all of Indiana, where we were doing millions of dollars a year in cheeseburgers and fries. And I was 18 with a team of 52 people under me. And it was the most overwhelming, chaotic, and stressful thing I've ever done in my life. To this day, the beginning of that journey, 18-year-old me, 22, almost 23 years ago, walking into that restaurant and trying to lead people from, I believe, 15 years old to 55 years old when I was 18, required me to learn everything about business. And I made a lot of mistakes. The number one mistake I made that I will tell you that you need to implement right now, day one in the next 30 days, is that you need to have the conversations you have been avoiding. You have to. There might be someone on your team you need to let go. There might be someone on your team you need to promote. There might be conversations you need to have with business partners that are really difficult. There might be conversations that you need to have with yourself and calling yourself to the carpet. You've got to figure that out. The second thing that you need to do is you need to define and communicate your non-negotiable standards. I tell my teams constantly, raise your standards. This is one of the most important things that we can do. We raise our standards, we pay attention to detail, and we are always solution oriented. If you want to be in my team, those are non-negotiable to me. You show up, you live like that, you help me move towards success. Because as leaders, we can't be cleaning up our team's messes all day. And some of you are doing that. You may be the one, then it is causing strife and chaos in the business. Your team doesn't trust you if you don't trust them. And you want to get to the place where they're executing at 90% capacity of your expectation. And I promise you, those are going to be home runs, right? And then finally, I would say the most important thing is to shorten your decision loops. So many of us, we spend so much time trying to go through all of the possibilities and top to bottoms. Make a decision. Just make it. If you stay stagnant, I promise you, that is way worse than you making the wrong choice. I would rather see you make the wrong choice than no choice at all, because at least the wrong choice sends you in a direction. No choice at all keeps you stuck here. And that's already part of the problem. Leadership is so much more in depth than this. Obviously, we talk about a lot of these things in the Unbroken Business Support Group. We talk about these things in our community. We talk about these things in our mentorships and calls. What I would tell you is, if you're stuck and if you need to go to the next level to figure these things out, check out unbrokenbsg.com. Let's hop on a call, join the community, join a group, join a webinar or a mastermind, any of the things that we do, so that you can learn how to become a more effective leader. Because as someone who has done over $40 million in sales, I can tell you 100% that it came from leadership. It did not come from me doing everything on my own. And so I encourage you to pop on to join us. That's Unbroken BSG, like businesssupportgroup.com. We appreciate you. I look forward to seeing you, helping you on your journey. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other. And until next time, be unbroken. I'll see you.